Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earth, specifically part 2 of the 5-part event, which took place during Batwoman episode 109, which premiered Monday, December 9th, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording at 10:08 p.m. the same night, so I just finished watching part 2, and then also the Black Lightning episode just happened right afterwards, so just fresh off of that. I usually don't watch Black Lightning, but because it was his own lead up into the Crisis event, since Black Lightning is supposed to appear, I thought it was fitting that I at least watch it. I've watched a few episodes of Black Lightning in season 1, so it was very interesting to see how they ended off the episode for sure. So just a quick spoiler ish right there, but otherwise, huge spoiler alert once again. If you haven't seen the episode or part 1, please do so first and then come back to see what they say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. So, sorry. Format is going to be a little different, but I'm going to try to do this in 20 minutes. There's a lot that we got to see and find out in this episode, so let's hope I can do it all on time. So let's start with what happened in this episode. So timeline-wise, it's pretty explanatory, the fact that we're picking up from where part 1 took place, and I'm assuming it's still December 10th because Barry is still under the impression that he dies on the 10th, or that's when the Flash is supposed to disappear. So there's that. Sorry. Feature characters of the 5 shows include Supergirl, we get Kara, Clark, Lois, and Lex Luthor. From Flash, we get Barry and Iris. From Arrow, we get Lila as the Harbinger, and then kind of got Oliver, and then we have Mia. And then for Legends, we get Sarah, Ray, and Constantine. And then from Batwoman, we get Kate and Luke. So there's that. Now we do get a lot of... Oh, I forgot to do Mick. Technically, do I count him because it's not our version of Mick, but anyways, I'll just do a side thing there. But, so new characters, though. We not only are we found... So talk about a lot of things. Because first off, we're told that they're supposed to be 7 heroes of the purest will who are supposed to ultimately help them defeat the Anti-Monitor. We find out, though, that of the 7, Kara is the paragon of hope, Sarah is the paragon of destiny, and Kate ends up being the paragon of courage after her trip to Earth 99, to who they believe would have been the paragon of courage, which would have been Bruce Wayne of Earth 99, which I'll get to in a moment. So then they find the only other paragon that they know of, and that is Clark Kent of Earth 96, which is played by Brandon Routh, and he's supposed to be the paragon of truth. So we do meet him with that. Also, other characters we do see, they're all familiar faces in some way, shape, or form. So we get Mick Rory of Earth 74, and with him is the voice of Leonard Snart as the Wave Rider's AI. So instead of Gideon, you get Leonard Snart as the voice for Wave Rider 74. And then we get Clark Kent and Lois Lane of Earth 167, and that is the Smallville interpretations of Clark and Lois. And we find out that Clark gave up his powers so that he could have a family with Lois, and he's now a father to their daughters. Don't know how many, definitely know there's at least 2. So there's that. And then we also meet Bruce Wayne of Earth 99. This is like supposedly I think it's the future version of him, but he's definitely one in an exoskeleton suit. He's definitely admits that he's lost track of how many times he's killed, and one of those kills is Superman. So there's that. And then also we do see Jonah Hex from Earth 18, and he's kind of the self-proclaimed protector of the remaining Lazarus Pit in the multiverse. So there's that. So moving on, first scene of the episode shows Sarah, Kara, and Kate pouring a shot in mourning of Oliver Queen, and kind of we're getting the aftermath of his death. An episode storyline, so with breakdown, I picked up on 3. First one being stopping Lex Luthor from killing off all the Supermans. 2 is finding Batman, and 3 resurrecting Oliver. So with the first 2 storylines with the Supermans and the Batmans is pretty much finding the 2 paragons that the Monitor had alleged that they would need. So with the first storyline, Lex is using the Book of Destiny provided to him by the Monitor, and he's using it to kill off all the Supermans within the multiverse. When it comes to finding Clark 96, Lex ends. Okay, so Lex encounters Clark of Smallville first, and after finding out that he has no powers and there's like really no reason to kill him, there's like no point to that. So the next time we see Lex is when he's on Earth 96, and this is when he put Superman against Superman by turning Clark 96 against Clark 38, and began to go whole showdown there before they push it in their advantage by confiscating the book, knocking Lex out, and regaining Clark 96's true mindset. So there's that. Second storyline, finding Batman on Earth 99. This is where Kate and Kara go to try to convince him to help save the multiverse. They find out that he is not a hero. He truly is the Dark Knight. Also in this universe, Kate finds out that her and her twin sister actually grew up together, and they were able to grow up together, unlike what had happened on her Earth. So that's something there, which I will talk about in a little bit. And then with the third storyline, we find out that Mia and Barry are determined to bring Oliver back, and they are going to do so by using the Lazarus Pits. So they recruit Sarah and Constantine as they find a remaining Lazarus Pit, because they know that Thea destroyed all the ones on Earth 1. So they end up finding themselves on Earth 18, and they go through the process of resurrecting Oliver. So now his body is back, except now it's without its soul. And because of all the antimatter, it's proving difficult for Constantine to reunite Oliver's soul back to his body. So that's something there. The last scene of the episode shows Lila being called before the Anti-Monitor, and we finally see him for the first time. Truly is a doppelganger of the Monitor, just with a whole different facade, if you would. So there's that. So tidbit-wise, though, let's get into that. A lot of things we learned about the different universes. So Earth 74, we find out that there are no more legends, and that is why Mick was able to commandeer the ship and kind of use that as his own little man cave. And he is still trying to be a novelist as well in this world. So that was something there. Earth 75, though, did see Superman being killed off from Lex's Book of Destiny destruction. And this Superman is the doppelganger to our Clark 38. So there's that. Clark 96 is where we have Brandon Routh's Clark having lost everyone he cared for, including his wife. Everyone's calling this the Kingdom Come Clark. So there's that one. Earth 99, we find out that this version of Kate has been dead for 5 years. So that is why Bruce is a little shocked to see Kate showing up out of the blue. So there's that. And then also Earth 196, we get confirmation that Lex Luthor of Smallville has become president. So that is something there. Now, in regards to our normal superheroes, we have Kara wanting to use the Book of Destiny to restore Earth 38, but it looks like Kate may stop her attempts because she still keeps the Kryptonian disc that Bruce 99 had used against Kara. So that's something there. We also have Lila mentioning to Sarah that she has not told Diggle yet about Oliver's death. So that's something there. And he's been left behind in Star City to look after little JJ. So there's that. We also see Lila suffering from the voices of being the Harbinger. At first I thought it was from the Book of Destiny, but maybe it is from her role as the Harbinger because it's what brought her to the Anti-Monitor. And also we see Mia being tense around Sarah, and it could be because of what Nyssa had told her while training Mia all those years ago. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see about that. But they do seem to have a little bit of bonding in regards to Oliver, I think. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. The relationship was more of kind of the fact of like a stepmom type of thing. You know how like the dad brings home a new girlfriend, and the daughter is just like cold against her and doesn't want to bond, but the new love interest wants to get to know the daughter to be in good graces with the boyfriend and stuff. So it's like, it felt like one of those type of things. Not that I'm shipping Oliver and Sarah together, but like, you know, like with their history and stuff, but there's that. But that is pretty much it. So let's move on to most shocking moments of the episode. I think my shocking thing would have to be the fact that the Monitor allowed for Lex Luthor to use the Book of Destiny to kill multiple versions of Superman. I mean, like, what purpose is that? I mean, just allow for the team to go. I mean, I guess because okay, look, because I am in story writing, right? I am in a screenwriting program, so we are learning about story structure and how it is used in film and stories and stuff. And they're always saying that you need to create a conflict, or you always have to have some kind of timeline or a timer which pushes people to work against the clock. So I guess in this situation, because the fact that they have Lex being the one trying to kill all these Supermans when they're trying to find the one Superman that is their paragon of truth, I guess it does put our superheroes on a time clock to try to find that Superman. But like, I feel like that was an unnecessary time clock, considering they already have a time clock, and the fact that the crisis is coming for them and that the Anti-Monitor is approaching. So I feel like the fact that the Monitor allowed for Lex to use the Book of Destiny in this manner, I feel like that makes him a little bit more shady in my eyes. So it was just a huge shock there. But I can understand the whole creating conflict thing to progress the story, but I feel like it's just an unnecessary conflict on top of an already big conflict that they've already established. You know what I mean? So that is something there. I did like, though, the fact that Smallville Clark made the comment of the fact that Lex 38 was not his Lex and did not look like his Lex. I appreciate that. At least we had that type of recognition there. I mean, thankfully we got something like that with Iris when they first meet Clark 96, and they say like, he kind of looks like Ray Palmer, and they had like that type of thing, and then Ray actually interacted with Clark and say like, hey, do you have a gluten sensitivity as well too, type of thing. And then like, granted, no, because they're two different species, but I like the fact they did comment on the fact that, well, we share the same face, we look alike, and why is that? Or the fact that two people with the same name don't look alike in regards to Lex Luthor or with different Clarks and stuff. So it was just like, it's great to get that recognition there, which I will talk about later on in the crossover hopes section. But let's move on to top favorite moments. A favorite I will have to have is the fact that we do get multiple Supermans in this episode. I mean, granted, I wish we got to see all three of them interacting with each other and just suiting up together. I mean, technically we saw four, except the fourth one was a dead version of Superman. But like, it was just great to see Clark of 38, Clark of 96, and Clark of 167, so Smallville Clark. And it was just like, again, I wish we could see them all suited up. I mean, 2 out of 3 is pretty good. It would have been so cool just to see how much they were the same and how much they differed from each other in regards to mannerisms, the way they spoke, the way they held their ground and stuff. Also, I forgot, Clark 96, he has a son named Jason, and he commented on the fact that baby Jonathan kind of looked like baby Jason. So it's just like, that's so sweet, but then at the same time, how, considering you look nothing like Clark 38? So it's like, what? But yeah, so that was something there. Although the way that he interacted with Lois 38 kind of makes me wonder if Lois 96 was Lois 38's doppelganger, if you know what I mean, instead of just someone else with her name. But yeah, so there's that. Another huge favorite I did have for this episode was the scenes and interactions and the growth between Kara and Kate. It was just great to see the friendship at least growing, a little bit more of an understanding between them, the support that they had for one another and trying to better understand where the other one was coming from. And then just, especially with Kate, she's just learning that not only is she not alone in the universe, but there's a multitude of other worlds just like it out there, and now they're being threatened. And it's just like, it's a lot for her to take in, and I like that Kara was trying to help her process it, but then also have Kate kind of pep talk Kara in regard to like, you can have hope, this is how we can have hope, and all that stuff. So it's just really interesting to see the two of them interact, especially when they have like a good rapport with each other in Elseworlds. So I'm glad to see it continue forward with this as well. So that's something there. I really want to see Kate interact with Alex though, for sure. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm kind of wondering why Alex wasn't included in this part of the mission. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I should write that down right now. All right. So my next favorite was the surprising doppelgangers that we got. Because naturally, when we see certain characters, like for example, Mick, I thought in the trailer when it was Mick, I thought it was our Mick from Earth 1, but no, it turned out to be Mick of Earth 74. That was a shock right there. Also, the fact that we got the let her start being the voice of the Wave Rider 74's AI. I was not expecting that at all, but when he first spoke, I was like, oh, that's him? Are we going to see him? But then I'm like, wait, no, he's the Gideon of that world. So it's like, wow. So it's just like, it's great to see, like, in no matter what universe, they still are, Mick and Leo still have the friendship, or at least they stuck together in thick and thin type of thing. So it's like a band of brothers right there. Also, the surprising, I mean, technically it's not surprising since everyone freaked out when it was confirmed that we get Smallville's version of Clark and Lois showing up. So that was great. It was finally great to have them as an established Earth. Although it didn't look... Well, the funny thing was that when we went to their Earth, they weren't having the red sky. So it's like, were they not being affected by the crisis? Were they not feeling it at all or something? I don't know. I mean, like, the same could be said for 74 and Earth 75 and all the other different Earths that we visited. None of them experienced the red sky like we had seen a majority of part 1 in the Black Lightning episode of this week. So I just realized that. So that was a little interesting there. So seeing the return of Smallville after, when did they get off the air? After 8 years, it was just like, wow, it's like nostalgia right there for me. Also, just seeing Clark and Lois of Earth 75 was a surprising twist. I mean, it was part of the trailer, so it made it look like our Superman of Earth 38 from Supergirl was the one that was killed, and it was Lois who was mourning his death on this mound, but it turned out it was their own doppelgangers from Earth 75 that were dealing with his death. So it's just like, that was a huge twist right there as well. I'm relieved that we aren't going to be losing our Supergirl version of Superman, but then again, Earth 75 is now stuck without a Superman, without a Man of Steel. So that was a surprise there. I was surprised that we were going to see Jonah Hex from Earth 18. Again, I thought it would be the one that we had visited before in the past. Now I'm left wondering, did they go to Earth 18, but a past version of Earth 18? Or was this a present day version of Jonah Hex or something? I don't know. But that was an interesting one there. And then we did get to see Lucas Fox of Earth 99. And he was like kind of like the security for Bruce Wayne there. So that was a shock there. I was definitely a little surprised that we didn't see more Batwoman characters in this episode. But it is fitting that we get the first live interpretation of Batman on the Batwoman part of the series. It only makes sense. So that's up to there. So let's move on to top 3 peeved moments. Just realized my timer stopped. I don't know why. Alright. I would have been close, but I'll just cancel the clock. Timer right now reads almost 18 minutes, so I'm not going to make it for sure. But the top 3 peeves, a huge peeve that I had was with Iris, and it was just her comment. So this is when everybody's mourning. Barry's mourning the loss of Oliver, and then Iris comes in, and she says something along the lines of the fact that the Monitor was wrong about how Oliver was supposed to die, and she was putting the question that maybe the Monitor was wrong about Barry having to die. And I'm like, girl, Oliver just died. Barry is mourning the loss of his mentor, his friend. And you're here wanting to talk about Barry's own predicted demise. I mean, really? Could you think of a better timing to bring that up? I mean, like, yes, you've been preparing for the last 6 weeks of the fact that he was going to die in this crisis. But then at the same time, it's like Oliver just sacrificed himself to save 1 billion people. Focus on him and what that means for all of you in this impending crisis, instead of trying to figure out if what they believe to be true for the last 6 weeks might not be true. It just pissed me off so much in that moment. And I was like, well, like, I just felt like, dude, focus on the bigger picture here. Don't just focus on your own self. Yes, Barry's your husband, and like, you don't want him to die, but at the same time, you just took a massive hit in your defenses against this big crisis. Really? I don't know. It pisses me off so much. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's because I have a love-hate thing with Iris. It's just like, some days I hate her, some days she's alright. But yeah, just in that moment, when she was like, I was like there waiting for like Barry to like react to Oliver's death and truly trying to figure out like what do we do? This can't be possible. he's not the one that was supposed to die type of thing. And, like, I get it. So that, but then, like, for her to take that away, it's like, maybe you're not supposed to die. If he was wrong, if the Monitor was wrong about Oliver, maybe he was wrong about you. It's like, no, pay attention to what's actually happened. You lost Oliver. More than that. And then deal with the rest of the crisis. And then whatever happens, happens. You've already prepared for the fact that he was going to die. If chances are that he doesn't die, then okay, celebrate that fact afterwards, you know? So there's that. I'll leave that at that. But another peeve, as I was talking early before, did pop up was the fact that Alex and a bunch of other characters that we had in part 1, were absent in this episode, who played crucial parts, like Brady. Why would Brady be a part of this part of the mission? Why wouldn't he be a part of it? Why wouldn't Alex be a part of it? Why wouldn't Jean be a part of it? Because they were such huge parts of the DEO aspect. Why wouldn't they be a part of finding the 7 paragons of good? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. The only reason I can rationalize why they weren't there is because they're trying to help the displaced citizens of Earth 38, or they're trying to help elsewhere. But there's not even a throwaway comment that I'm aware of about why they weren't there. I mean, Sarah made the throwaway comment about the fact how, like, she promised her team that they wouldn't be a part of another crossover. And I swear, if they say crossover again, why not just say another crisis? Crossover is just too meta right there. And I mean, like, meta breaking the fourth wall, not meta-human thing. So it's like, at least she explained why her team wasn't there, and yet they were using a time ship. They explained that. They explained some bits of why, like, Diggle wasn't there because he had to stay in Star City. They didn't explain why the rest of Team Flash wasn't there, but Iris was able to be there. It was just like, it was weird. It was like halfway planned why people could be there and why it couldn't. And if you've seen my part 1 reaction, you would know that logistically, in a crisis this big, I would assume you would call in all your cavalry from the beginning so that you can all be at full force at the front. I wouldn't pick, like, your top lieutenants to come in and then, like, oh, you passed the first event, let's call everybody else. And no, I wouldn't do that. But I mean, if you disregard money, scheduling, and just the mass scope of it being so much, I understand why they wouldn't include it. But you gotta also incorporate in a way, like a throwaway line as to why you wouldn't have all these people at your disposal. You know what I mean? So that's something there. So that's a big peeve there. But let's move on to crossover hopes. Now, I did touch upon in part 1's video, and I will touch upon it again just because it hasn't been clarified at all. So with actor duplicates, we do get with Erica Durant in part 1, she played Allura of Earth 38. And then she also played Lois Lane of Earth 167, aka Smallville. And the only person who could notice a resemblance between the two of them was Lex Luthor. He barely saw this Lois Lane. So it's like, I'm a little disappointed that I was expecting for Clark 38 to maybe encounter Lois because he got to encounter Clark of 197. But the fact that they didn't have that, I'm a little disappointed that they couldn't do a throwaway comment of the fact that Erica Durant plays both characters. So that's something there. But they did do it, like I mentioned before, with Brandon Routh playing Clark of Earth 96 and saying, like, oh, you kind of look like Ray Palmer. And then actually Ray Palmer talking to him as if, like, oh, we're doppelgangers. Like, do you have a gluten sensitivity like me too? And it's like, no, it's like, it doesn't really work like that for us. So it's like, at least they actually acknowledge the fact that they do share the same face. So that one I appreciated as well. So that's something there. And also the fact that Kara mixed up Ray with Clark 96 when she first noticed him. She noticed, like, oh, right, you've gotten a little more jacked up. And then her actual cousin's like, no, this is your sort of cousin from another Earth. And it's just like, this is Clark. It's like, oh. And then Kara's like, oh. It's like she was, like, confused, like, what? So that's something there. Another thing I still am waiting for an explanation for is with Batwoman. Where along in her storyline did Elseworlds take place? Because as you know, it stated in the crossover that it's been 1 year since the events of the Elseworlds fiasco that they experienced. Now, Batman was both featured in the alternate worlds, featured in Elseworlds, as well as in the reset versions of the world, where she actually interacted with their real Oliver Queen while she was dressed as Batwoman, which would make you assume that she's already been Batwoman for a time. Yet Kate just became Batwoman like maybe 3-4 months ago, which doesn't really equate to the fact that she was Batwoman a year ago during Elseworlds. So I'm still trying to figure out, was there a time jump in season 1 between one of the episodes that I completely missed? Did they just screw up on the timeline in regards to like when she actually started becoming Batwoman? Because like when she first started out as Batwoman, she didn't have the red wig and everything. She didn't get that until like episode 103. And yet she had that suit, that final suit of hers in Elseworlds a year ago. So I'm trying to figure out where exactly timeline-wise things occurred. And if you really want more of an explanation, check out my part 1 video about the crisis. So there's that. So let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, is it true that we've only seen Kara's suit materialize with the new tech in Supergirl 501, and then we just haven't seen it appear like that ever since? I mean, it hit me at work that like I haven't actually seen her new tech emerge since the premiere. So it's just, am I missing an episode where she did it, or like, am I right? Let me know in the comments down below. Another question is the fact that, do you think the Lazarus Pit is Oliver's loophole to death, or will we still see Oliver die by the end of the crisis once again? God, I hope not. I really hope the Lazarus Pit was the loophole, and I really hope the fact that the Monitor was wrong about the way Oliver was supposed to die in this crisis would mean that like he could actually survive because he found this loophole. So I'm really hoping for that, but we'll have to wait and see about that. And the third question, will Kara's doubt against the Monitor serve to have a greater meaning later on? I hope so, because I still don't know whether or not the Monitor is the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor is the Anti-Monitor, or if it's actually reversed and the Monitor has been playing us to believe that the Anti-Monitor is bad when it's actually been the reverse and he's the one that's the Anti-Monitor. I don't know if that's confusing or not for you, but like, yeah. Since they're both played by the same guy, you can't really blame me for doubting who exactly is the good guy here, you know? And apparently we're going to get an origin story about them in Arrow's version, or Arrow's part of the crossover, which is part 4. So there's that. But let's move on to predictions very quickly based off the promo for part 3, which is happening tomorrow, and that is December the 10th. It looks like we're going to get Kate going up against Lex Luthor. We're also going to see Black Lightning coming into the crisis. We're also going to see Cisco coming back as Vibe. And then we apparently hear the quote of, "This is the only Earth left." A little worried about that. But based off the synopsis for part 3, it looks like Pariah enlists Black Lightning to help stop the Anti-Monitor after Flash 90 shares what he learned from his battle in Elseworlds. With the help of Black Lightning, Barry, Cisco, and Killer Frost come up with a plan that could save them all. Meanwhile, Iris has a heart-to-heart with Ryan Choi, aka played by Osric Chow, while Oliver and Diggle return to an old familiar stomping ground. So we don't know if this is Oliver, like fully formed Oliver, or if this is like soulless Oliver at the moment. So there's that. I didn't even read this earlier, so I'm surprised that we get to see Flash 90 in here. So excited to hear what he's going to learn from Elseworlds. Hopefully he can shed some light on things. I'm glad that they mentioned Barry, Cisco, and Killer Frost. It's great to have them working together. I wish it was I hope we still get Caitlin and it's not just Killer Frost too. I want both women to be playing a part in this, but we'll have to wait and see about that. But otherwise, that is pretty much it. I am super psyched to see I'm super psyched, but also just going to be very nervous because the fact that after part 3, we're going to have like 6 weeks of a hiatus before we get part 4 once the new year happens. So I'm a little nervous, but otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. What did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys think will happen next? What did you guys like about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your own thoughts, theories, opinions, about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind. If you don't follow any of my other videos, I am currently in the second to last week of my semester in school. So I'm being bogged down by final assignments. I'm technically supposed to be studying for a final exam that I have tomorrow in basic camera. So, and I still got a few projects I got to work on. I got a production shoot I got to work on that I'm supposed to be ready for tomorrow. So I am going to be recording the night after I watch. Whether or not you will get this video uploaded to you soon will be the question. If anything, you'll probably get it by the weekend if I find the time. Well, if I don't find the time, it will be by the weekend. If I find the time between class or between homeworks, then it'll probably be a little sooner. I'll work my best. But otherwise, just keep that in mind, because Tumblr, I have to update that during the holidays. That's pretty much what I was getting at. But anyways, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress once again. Again, I'm behind on that, but school comes first, you know. So that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for your tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back to see what I have to say about part 3, or if any of my other videos that I post interest you, please go check those out as well. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, a great week wherever you are, and wish me luck on my exam tomorrow. Take care. Bye.